What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wedding Pros Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about mid-season self-care and how you can stay fresh and on top of your game despite being in the middle of a crazy wedding season. My name is Jared, and today I'm here with Jason McCutcheon.
Yeah, and so, hey, listen up. We would love it if you would subscribe, if you would hit the alert bell in YouTube, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate those of you that do subscribe and do comment and like. And if you want to keep hearing this content, if you're a wedding creative and you're looking for some content that's maybe a little more business focused and a little more, I would say, pragmatic, and definitely we're going to be getting real too. Definitely give us a subscribe and get us hit that notify bell because it really means a lot to us. It's really great. So do you remember when you first? Because we came out of production. For those that don't know, we kind of did more production-y stuff before we did weddings, and so I think we kind of knew what it was like to shoot and be on our feet. But do you remember? Were you surprised with how real the post-wedding kind of hangover thing was if in the wedding creative world? Do you remember that when you first started shooting?
I think the thing that surprised me, I expected it to be hard physically, especially middle of summer, it's hot, whatever. But the mental toll it took on you, was probably even more of a surprise and even more exhausting to me.
Yeah, the day after the wedding, you're like,
yeah,
oh my God, I can't think about anything. I
feel like I just got a divorce.
Some traumatic, you got a car accident, but it wasn't just a car accident. It was one of those ones where you hit a grandma or something.
Oh yeah, I hate those.
You not only do you feel bad physically, but you feel bad emotionally.
Yeah,
that's a really weird description of a post-wedding day hangover.
Yeah.
And so I remember when we first started doing it, getting home, and what's really funny, when you first start doing weddings, you try to wear fancy shoes.
Yeah.
Fancy shoes, ties, things like that. I don't know if our guys do anymore because we tell them don't do it.
Yeah.
Please don't. We mentor them.
I just sweat way too much. I used to love wearing a little jacket and a nice shirt and a tie and
it looks great.
Allen Edmonds shoes, and then the next day you're just the shirt is ruined. My holdfast bled through my white shirt, and I have to get a new $50, $60 white shirt, and just
oh my goodness.
The shoes probably were the worst thing though.
The shoes are the worst. Dress shoes. Not only that, I remember if you're not from New England, there's a lot of weddings out here that are on the beach, of course, but our beaches a lot of them are very rocky. Mm-hmm. They're not sandy beaches. They're rocky terrain. And if you're a man and you have dress shoes, I'm assuming no women wear heels or whatever to shoot weddings. Probably someone does, but
I was just talking to Danielle today, and she said she used to back in the day. Yeah,
yeah. And you're just
for her first 3 or 4 weddings.
Everybody does that when they first start out.
Yeah,
they're shooting weddings and they're wearing these fancy shoes, and then they realize oh wow, my feet are literally bleeding within 3 hours.
Yep.
Of this, and it's when you first start doing it, you want to show up, you want to dress for success. And after a while, you're no, I'm going to dress to not die. Mm-hmm. I'm going to dress to be able to not sweat through my shirt and not have bloody feet and all this horribleness, right?
So at this point, what do you think your go-to shoe? What's your brand these days?
I used to try to convince myself oh, I'm going to get those actually Cole Haan makes a whole line.
If you're stole my answer.
Yeah, Cole Haan makes a really nice line of because for those that don't know, Nike owns Cole Haan, and so they use a lot of their soles in some of their
they're
casual
a zero
dress,
sole or whatever,
Luna Guard or whatever.
Is that what it? Okay,
that's one of them.
Okay.
But they make a ton of them, a bunch of different ones that are more dressy looking. Now, if I would be lying if I told you I actually wore those, I usually just end up wearing black sneakers.
Like Nikes?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah?
Just a black
on
sneaker.
black?
Just a black, you can't notice them.
Yeah.
Black soles, not white soles. Black on black shoes that don't blend in at all, that my feet won't hurt in, because I like tight shoes that flex. I don't want to, because I don't want to slip.
Yep.
I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to drop a camera, and I don't want my feet to hurt. So
yeah,
that's what I actually do. I think you could, for those of you that are not comfortable wearing black sneakers, the Cole Haans are an excellent way to go.
I do wear. I feel like I got the Cole Haans. They're like the something zero ones, but they're the cushiony, bendy ones that have like it's like a fiber over the top. Mm-hmm. Kind of like that. It's not a Yeezy kind of fiber.
Yeah, they're
on
like
top.
a knit.
Yeah, it's a knit. Very comfortable, and that's made a world of difference. I think 2 years ago, I had like, you know that tendon on your foot, the arch part, but like the inside of your arch that goes to your big toe. It connects all the way up to like your hamstring.
Yep.
So like my whole body would be tight from just the shoes that I was
So
wearing.
it's brutal.
Oh my God. And it is. But like simply changing your shoe makes all the difference in the world. So those
What's
are
your,
everything.
if you're listening to this, we'd love to hear about your biggest injuries and all the brutalities you've experienced by being a wedding creative. I mean, it's not easy, right?
I don't think it's easy. I remember a couple of years back, I sprained my ankle playing softball. And then I had a wedding to shoot on the weekend. I was like, I have to make it there for the wedding. Like, it was like seriously sprained too. It was like really hurting me. And I wore dress shoes. And you know how when you sprain your ankle, your like whole thing kind of like swells up? The dress shoe was like cutting into that all day, cutting into like the swollenness. Because I was an idiot. I didn't like to wrap it or do anything. And like by the end of the day, I could barely walk. I think I shot that wedding all by myself that day too. It was like the most.
Do you remember that day I had that terrible bloody nose while I was shooting?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna put. If you're watching on YouTube, we're gonna put the image on the screen.
Did we take a picture of it?
Oh, I have a picture.
Oh.
And right
don't
here,
I have
it'll
that
go
picture?
right here, editors.
Yeah.
And it's just this picture of me like driving. And it was like a crazy wedding where we had to drive like 8 locations.
Yeah.
That was a wedding where actually the bride was getting out of the car or they were getting into their limo, and then somebody just full on rear-ended the limo while they were sitting there parked. It was a crazy day.
I remember you coming in, and I think myself, Jordan, and Dom had all been shooting that day. So we were all in the office, like dumping our gear, dumping the cards. And then you came in at like midnight into the office, and you were like, your white shirt was like all bloody. And we're like, what the heck happened to you? And you were like, oh no, I just got a nosebleed. And you were like still
I was
out of it.
driving and like down the road, and my nose was just bleeding down my face. I looked like Andrew WK. So, like I said, let us know about your worst injuries, and because then we can all share war stories. But I think the point is, it's very physically exhausting. Like once you get, like you always hear about in athletics, right? You're not fresh anymore. Like there comes a point in a season where it starts to take a toll on your body. There are some people who shoot more than us individually, and they're like, amen. And there are people, and the longer you do it, you're not getting any younger. So it's just like, if you're not prepared for that, you are not going to be prepared for the post-wedding day hangover, right? That's a real thing. So what do you like to do? Do you have any post-wedding, by the way, meals or rituals that you like to do?
I do. I have a post-wedding ritual, and then probably like a not pre-wedding ritual necessarily, but beforehand, I like to make like a good breakfast because usually I forget to eat lunch on a wedding day. It's just I don't, maybe grab some like granola bars or something, but big breakfast in the morning. I like to leave early and usually grab breakfast like near the venue so we can try something like new, like a new coffee shop.
Fancy.
Yeah, something new, and then just to kind of like relax, and also like I'm horrified of either my car breaking down for whatever reason or like getting in an accident. And I figure if I leave 3 hours early and I'm just around, then
You could take an Uber at least.
I could at least take an Uber. Yeah, at least get there via Uber and be on time. And I've never, ever been late to a wedding. So
I've never been late either.
So that, but then also post-wedding meals, I think like a Burger King, or not a Burger King, like McDonald's, like double cheeseburger.
A fast food, junk food thing?
Anything, literally anything along the way. The first thing, Taco Bell. Anything junky, and then soda. Like I don't drink soda usually.
I always want, honestly, I like a granola bar and a coffee
after
a wedding.
Yeah.
Well, and it like, assuming it's not like within 30 minutes of my house. But usually I'm driving 2.5 hours.
I usually eat it all, like, because they'll have cake, right? They'll have cake and coffee at the wedding. I usually have a cake and a coffee to go. And then something terrible on the way home that my wife will yell at me about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what about like that post wedding day? I remember I don't always do this,
Sure.
but when I'm like particularly feeling it post wedding day.
Feeling yourself?
No, feeling like ouch, like really my feet are killing me.
Yeah.
Definitely a pedicure.
Never done that.
Oh,
I would.
you have not lived until you get those hot stone pedicures.
I totally believe you. You just got one a couple weeks
I
ago.
always get one before vacation too.
No,
Don't
that's
judge me. Screw you if you don't like that.
No, that's cool now. Dude, it's the 90s.
Yeah, my wife likes it and I like it too. No shame.
Yeah. I would totally do that with my wife.
I went by myself a few times.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm down for
willing
that.
to
I
do
just
it.
never think about it.
If my feet are hurting, it's just a nice little reward. Mm-hmm. I worked really hard, so
Yeah.
that's what I like to do. And I'm sure a lot of people out there, they have their post wedding day rituals. I've heard of all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, it's usually a lot of people. It involves alcohol. Hopefully not in your drive home, or like doing nothing or eating cereal. Who knows? But we're all finding ways to cope with the stresses of the season. And so one of the things I wanted to point out today, right? Mid-season survival guide kind of thing, like how do you take care of yourself in the middle of the season? Because I feel like at the beginning of the season, you're like, it's not the same. And at the end of the season,
Well, you're hyped. You're hyped for like getting back into like the swing of things, and like you have that adrenaline. But then you start shooting week after week after week, and it's a grind. It wears on you, especially if you're doing doubles and doing triples, and we can even dive into that probably a little bit. Like if you take doubles, if you take triples, even
totally. It's no matter what you choose to do. Even if you're doing 10 weddings, by the time you hit your 5th wedding, if you're doing 30 weddings, by the time there just seems to be like when you get kind of halfway through that, it's just like you're in the dog days a little bit. And not only hopefully emotionally you're still good, hopefully emotionally you're still enjoying it and your clients are still getting your best. But even if that's true, I think physically sometimes it can just be like, wow, this is tough on me, right? So we kind of want to talk about that a little today, because not only do we have like the goofy stories and there's those fun things you do, but like, man, the idea that you need to find a way, not just for you, not just for your family, but for your clients to get through that season and finish strong at that halfway point. I think it's real, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just realizing like it's not just for you. It's also, like you said, it's for your family, because if you are worn out and exhausted and burnt out, then that translates to, your family, to your wife, to your kids, to extended family. Yeah.
And I can't imagine, like, I don't do my best work when I'm sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to do taking care of myself and making sure I'm in a good place.
I find that usually that kind of hitting a wall happens probably mid-August for us
in New England.
In New England, and that's our season. I think that's probably the majority of people's.
If you're
seasons.
listening to this and you're not in New England, our wedding season in New England is pretty much
May to
October.
end of October. Yeah,
and there's obviously weddings in April, and obviously New Year's Eve. But pretty much, most wedding professionals I know don't do any weddings from January to March. Pretty much.
Yeah,
like
speckled in, but. Yeah, for the most part, that's when you're going to get burnt out, because I find when I have one wedding in February, it's like you give all your effort, all your mental effort. You respond to emails within like 5 minutes of people sending it, so you're on top of everything, and you're just ready for it.
Well, because your business doesn't stop, right?
Yeah.
Just because you're middle of the season. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
So one of the reasons I think burnout happens, we brought up, which is the physical toil. Right? Your body is a part of your mind, and your mind is part of your body, and they play off each other. And so you're physically getting beat up, right? The other one, I think, is the just stress, because this is how we view you. If you're watching this, if you're a wedding or listening, if you're a wedding creative, at the core of what you do is you're an entrepreneur and you're running a business. And so not only are you creating on Saturdays, but you're having to maintain this business Monday through Friday.
Yep.
And I think the biggest toll I think that people take is that part, right? It's not the physical part. It's the emotional and the mental stress part, right? So what are some of the things that beyond shooting that start to pile up mid-season that maybe are easier to deal with in your off season?
Yeah, I think when you think about it, like you're saying, you're shooting on Friday, Saturday, Sunday potentially, and you come in on Monday and you have a million emails to get to because you didn't answer emails on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That seems to be when most people email you, by the way.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they're free, so everyone expects you to get back to them on Monday. So you're really doing all your maintenance stuff, like catching up on Monday, getting to vendors, trying to get a hold of the insurance company to get a certificate of insurance, all the office management. I mean, that's the stuff that to me takes a toll because I'll look at my
Well, and if you're a wedding creative, you probably didn't get into this to manage an office.
Exactly. So it's just like it's maintenance, it's like mundane stuff, and then for me on Monday I can start at 9:00 and then I look at my clock, and it's already 5:00 and I'm still writing emails to people. I'm still staying on top of that. So that stuff, and then you're not even talking about getting to the edits and the actual creative stuff that just takes a ton of time to do.
Well, not only that, hopefully you're, balancing your books.
Yeah.
You're
Finances.
still doing your marketing. Like all these things are really a huge part of being a wedding creative that honestly not nobody, but probably almost nobody got into the wedding business to be like, man, I cannot wait to manage a knot profile, a wedding profile, balance my QuickBooks. Oh, it's going to be so great when I can have my own business where I'm having to back up my files and also do the work.
Yeah.
Like they're thinking like, oh, I got 40 hours a week to shoot and edit.
Yep.
No, you don't.
Yep. And bottom line, I mean, I think this time of the year, one of the things that's exhausting is it just feels like it all is getting away from you, right?
Yeah. Because it's all just piling up.
You're not one step ahead, you're one step behind. And like for me, I operate much better when my room is clean. So like if my room is clean, emails answered, then I can think creatively. I can actually
your metaphorical room. So
exactly. Well, and also my office. If my office is, clean, then I can answer emails faster, I feel like, and I'm less distracted.
Yep.
And also just like the world doesn't ask permission to come into your life. It's email. Where is this? Where is this? Hey, got a call from a planner. When are you going to get me a COI? Like boom, 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 boom. And it's just like, it doesn't feel like you're in full control. So I think something that is worth talking about is, and I think is a good transition is what are those boundaries, that you set?
We hear work-life balance a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I remember reading this article and it was called like work-life balance is crap or something. And it was talking about like,
Did you write it?
No. Honestly, it's just, I get so sick of people saying work-life balance because I'm like, so the goal is to have 50% of your time at work and 50% of the time at home. Like, what is that? Who does that?
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Like you wake up, you spend most of your day at work and like, that's how normal people are. This is like this privileged millennial fantasy that you're going to have a balanced work or balanced life between going to work and spending time at home. So I think that's kind of a crap idea. I think you should want to grow your business and be successful. It's just not reasonable. I don't want to say it's crap. I understand why people are saying it. Here's what I'm in huge support of, right? You're killing yourself. You're beating yourself up. You need work-life boundaries. That's what's important. Work-life balance, it's okay, especially mid-season. Like if you let go of the idea of balance, what I want to encourage you to embrace is the idea of seasons and boundaries. So you're going to have seasons in your business that are going to require more of your time. My wife knows from June to October, I'm going to be less available. She's cool with that. My wife is very supportive. It doesn't mean it's always easy. I do try to take a vacation mid-wedding season every year when we have that open window of time to kind of recharge ourselves. But like this idea of like work, life, and like that's part of what people are frustrated by a lot of times is like they feel like they're not getting this work-life balance mid-season and they get burnt out because they have poor expectations. You should expect middle of your season to feel physically worse, to have a lot more things going on at the same time, and it is a season of grinding. So I would say get some grit, but you need to know where's the line.
course.
Where's that boundary between where like, I'm not going to do this. I can't physically or mentally do it. And I think I'm in big support of that. Like, be a hard worker, be gritty. You're not going to be balanced, but you certainly can have boundaries.
Do you find that when you're on vacation, you're able to turn off work life completely?
No.
Me, me neither.
But I don't care. I mean,
And I'm like, well, is that a bad thing or
honestly, yes and no. Like because my vacations, I'm going to go to the Four Seasons Resort.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be sitting around doing nothing. So in a sense, I do the things in my work that give me life.
Yeah.
So I work on things I like and enjoy that make me feel happy. I don't work on things that stress me out or I don't like. And if someone has a terrible emergency, I will maybe solve it if I can without giving away my wife's time. But yeah, I don't totally turn it off. But
Yeah.
I would say I do have the ability to go do whatever I'm doing and not think about it. So mentally, yeah, I do.
I think I'm probably pretty similar. Like when we go on vacation midsummer too, and usually I'm like, oh, this is great. Now I can just work in a really pretty place with a really pretty view and have
Because we like working.
Yeah, it's just and I feel refreshed because I'm not in the same place that I usually am, either at home or in the office, or I'm on the beach looking at a sunset with a daiquiri or something.
Well, but
I don't drink daiquiris. By
That
the
really
way.
makes the point of what you were saying. He doesn't drink daiquiris, of course, but also
only whiskey and manly
only
drinks.
really manly drinks.
Drinks, yeah.
I don't even drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So I'm really wimpy.
No. Well, that's what we all say behind your back.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But like I think that really makes the point, which is your job is not what's stressing you out, I think. And I think you need to take that focus. It's like work-life balance is not the problem. It's when you feel like you can't control it. When you feel like it's all bleeding together and I think most of us love our jobs.
Yep.
And I think it's important, like if you're listening to this, to really take a moment and think about that. I love what I do. I love getting to do it. It's probably one of your most cherished things in your life. That's why you started doing it. You feel fulfilled. You feel like you're good at it. And you like making people happy. I think what you need to get a handle on in your mind is what's stressing me out is that I feel like I'm a little out of control or a lot out of control. And of course, you're getting beat up on a weekly basis physically. So like work-life boundaries are huge. Work-life balance can be unreasonable. Well, work-life boundaries is a must. So let's talk a little bit about kind of how do we work this idea in the middle of this craziness, like personally, and maybe think of some ways other people who are listening might be able to work some boundaries in that will help them kind of take care of themselves in the middle of this crazy season.
Sure. I think the main thing that comes to my mind is having times where people can and where you will respond to either emails or phone calls or text messages. Like I've gotten text messages at midnight from couples fully expecting me to just hop on and be like, yeah, I really want to talk to you about your wedding in 8 months at midnight on a Tuesday night. Like, having those kind of boundaries of like, and just setting the client expectation for, okay, I'm not going to respond to this person at midnight. They're going to get a response at 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm in front of my computer and I can give them the appropriate time and at the appropriate time. So I think like a communications boundary of like, I'm not gonna pick up the phone at 10 o'clock when I'm with my wife and we're watching Stranger Things. I think that's probably the first step, right?
People feel stressed by that even when it's not happening. Like because they can't fully settle in.
Yeah.
They're like hanging out and they should be recharging, and instead they're worried that what if I'm missing an email? What if and it's like, no, just kill that.
Yep.
And that really leads in what I was going to say is, just have when you switch gears, like it's unreasonable to say, oh, stop at 5 p.m. every day. Start like there are times
you own your own business, like
you're gonna have to work extra time, especially mid-season. Don't worry, the fact that you do not much for 2 months of the year will make up for it. You're gonna be okay. But when you switch, like what I think is fair to my family is when I'm home, I'm available. Okay, if I'm at work, whether it be home office or at an office, if I'm at work, I'm at work.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But when I switch, there's the boundary.
So it's less of like a time constraint and more of like they get a priority, right? A priority constraint. Yeah.
It's about like allowing yourself to fully focus on whatever it is you're doing. If you are involved in your softball team, men's rec league, you go to the gym, you like to hike, you go to church, whatever it is that you do to that has not much to do with your business, that just recharges you, do it with all your heart.
Yep.
Like don't let this work thing get in the middle of it. Like it's totally fine. If you're going to be a person that hikes every morning or takes a walk, don't respond. Don't even entertain the idea of checking emails and letting that ruin your walk. Like, and I think that's the biggest thing I've seen is like really drawing that line. Like I'm switching gears right now.
Yep.
Like I'm about to leave the office after this and I'm going to, if I see a text, I don't mind responding to the text, but I don't feel bad if I don't.
Yes.
And I think that's the key is like, oh yeah, like, oh, Jared texted me. Oh, what's up?
Yeah.
But I don't go like, I need to have my phone on me at all times.
Yeah.
What if Jared texts me?
Yeah.
That's that dread.
Totally. I think it's sometimes it's hard. I think it's hard to do that, but it takes practice, it takes discipline. But I think after you do, what is it? After you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit to just drilling it into yourself of like, no, this is the way I feel. I'm going to make it a habit. And I think after a while, because I feel like you almost have like FOMO.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because, especially when you're first starting, because you're like, oh, it's my business. Like, and the good thing is when you first start, your business isn't as big as it will be in 5 years, right? So you get to gradually work your way into this. Okay, now my business
you're not
world is
expected to
crazy.
do it overnight. You get to grow with your business.
Yeah. But I think it is an important thing to establish early. If you have 5 weddings that you're operating, no matter what your skill is, drilling in those kind of disciplines early on of like, this is what I'm going to do regardless of, what the timing is going to be. Early on, I think is just a good habit to get into, and that way that when you are shooting, 100 weddings, you're going to do the same thing, and you're just kind of locking in your habits early.
This, if you're listening to this, we shoot probably more than most. Our model is a little different than most people. We're doing around 100 something, and then we got our commercial side of our business as well. So we're busy entrepreneurs, and like I want you to hear this as like a ray of hope, not a brag. I feel pretty non-stressed about my business.
Yeah, me too.
It doesn't affect me negatively, mainly because it's going well, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe is some of our stress is we think it's because we're burnt out, but really we're anxious about how it's going. But I'm not that anxious how it's going. The other thing is, I keep these boundaries in, so it's possible for you. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're thinking like, how could I ever get out of this? Like we're doing a really large volume and stuff, and we, you built the support around you. And I was gonna say my next tip with having good boundaries is maybe they're not on staff, whatever it is, but build a good team that will take the pressure off, so it's not just you. So what does that look like? Let's take most of our people probably aren't studios. So let's talk about on an artist model, which for us, an artist model is a kind of the typical one-man show, maybe a husband and wife team. They're not running a whole team. It's just, that's probably most creatives, and it's a great way to do it. We have a studio model, which we have a whole employees and a whole bunch of teams. But the artist model, how can you build a quote-unquote team around you to help you get the job done? And take the pressure off of you.
This whole conversation, it reminds me of the 4-hour work week, right?
Yes.
And
good book if you haven't read it.
Yeah, and I don't think, when you and I think about that book, I don't think I only want to work 4 hours a week, right?
Not possible.
It's not possible. And even the author, I forget his name, Tim Ferriss, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
He says it's not realistic to only work 4 hours. But the whole book is finding people to do the things that you don't like or you're not good at.
Or even that just can do them.
Yeah, exactly. To free up your time. So even if you're a photographer or videographer or wedding creative, in any field really, I think there are certain things that even if you don't have a staff member, a team member that can do a specific role, whether it's admin or whether it's photo editing, finding the team members that work well within your system.
They always say outsource your sanity, right?
Yep.
So find other people around you that will help you stay sane. And I think that's really what it is people who feel like it's all on them. That's a stress. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with. What are some things everyone can outsource? Whether it be basic, creative, or just logistical?
I think one of the first things I've seen a lot of people do, and it's not true in our case, is the admin work, right? I like to do a lot of, not that I like to do the admin work, it's just the baby that I'm not willing to give up yet.
Well, sales is involved.
Sales is involved, and that's an area that I like the sales part. I like talking to people, but not necessarily emailing people from 9 to 5. But that's something that there's some form of that you can give away by just telling someone, I want these forms made. I want this email list made. Having somebody do that, there's a lot of resources online, like secretaries from other countries that can do that kind of work for you, that you just dump stuff on them and then you double check at the end of the day and it's, done.
You got to inspect what you expect. That's what they always say. But I think the other one, if it was me, the first thing I would outsource is my financials.
Okay.
The first thing I would do is get a CPA. CPAs are not that expensive and they will help you with your taxes and help you it not only takes a big stress off, and it's probably one of the things most of these listeners are terrible at, which is like business math.
Yep.
Get a CPA that knows what they're doing and knows how to help your model, especially someone who's worked with creatives before is helpful. But get a CPA.
Yep.
That'll take a huge stress off, and you'll feel like, oh, I'm like a boss. This person's working for me. They're giving me reports, and it'll help a lot. I think that's one of the biggest ones I see is just get it. I honestly... I think everyone should get a CPA.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
If you're listening to this, and you'll hear it a lot on this podcast, is like, get a CPA, get a CPA, get a CPA, because you suck at it.
Yeah. And
if you're good at it, why are you wasting your time doing that? You should be selling more weddings and editing and creating. You shouldn't be dealing with that crap. And honestly, the consequences of screwing that part of your business up are way more than the consequences of editing something kind of junky.
Yep.
So I
Long
think get a CPA is the number one thing I would outsource first.
Okay.
Because it's probably adding a lot of stress to you. You're probably not good at it, and it'll probably make you feel. It'll immediately be like,
it's freedom. Yeah.
freedom. I think the other thing you can outsource really quickly is honestly some of your edits.
Yep.
There's a lot of, if you're just a shooter and you're like, you can probably, whether it be offshore or a studio.
Yep.
Or even just getting someone in and start building into your business model, maybe a contractor to help you that you know and you have a relationship with. I think that's a really good one that will help a lot.
Me too. And I was talking to a photographer today about it, and she outsources all of her edits, and she culls all of her photos. So she doesn't give all of it away, but she does a portion of it. So she culls all of her photos to save her some money. And also it maintains a certain level of control. But if you're just looking for someone to, move some sliders around in a certain way and a consistency
and white balance
and you found someone that you feel like represents your brand well, then it's definitely a place that you can outsource pretty easily. What do you think about hiring a lawyer? Do you think that saves you time?
No.
Me neither.
I don't think.
I think it saves you sanity.
This will not. If you have, so we're talking, mental health and self-care. I am not anxious about getting sued, but I guess it could be considered self-care and outsourcing if you had that anxiety. And that being said, you should still do it.
I probably have more anxiety about that, but where it just it feels good knowing that you have someone watching your back and on the little things.
You're not a smart business person if you are. I understand if you can't afford it and you're not there in your business yet, there probably comes a time and a place where it's not the right decision. But man, if you have the money and you're just like, meh, that's just dumb. You should get a lawyer.
Yeah. We didn't have one for a long time, and then we were like, well, we probably should.
Yeah, no, we literally were like, we're dumb. Why don't we have a lawyer? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that expensive.
No.
And
You only pay them to when they work. So,
and you just get that relationship going.
Yep.
You pay them a little bit to explain your business for you. And so when you call them out of the blue, they're not like, who the heck are you?
yeah. And I would say that's another thing that's good to get started early, because you probably won't have to call them a lot early. Maybe they look at your contract, they're like, great, pay me $200 and, whatever the going rate is.
Sure.
But
it does help. When you put it that way, maybe I disagree with the thing I said previously, which is maybe it does help with self-care, getting a lawyer, especially when you have that peace of mind to know that your contracts are binding, that they're all good. I guess based on the amount of people that don't understand how deposits work in all these forums that are like, oh, this person canceled. It's like, you would not be asking a forum. You should be asking a lawyer.
Yeah.
Don't ask a forum all these questions. Ask a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I think when you know you have that peace of mind, that would probably take some stress away.
Totally.
But it's not really outsourcing, it's adding.
Yep.
So, and I understand you can't outsource everything. There's a lot you have to do. Like, there's probably someone who can outsource, quote unquote, like their marketing. I don't think most of you can outsource your marketing. The cost, it would just kill you. It'd add so much cost to your business, it wouldn't be smart.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. The things that you can't unload.
Sure.
The stuff that you're just stuck with and you're in the middle of that season, you're dealing with leads that are coming in, all the physical toil of shooting the weddings, getting the actual work done and the edits done, and then just dealing with financial stuff and all the businessy crap that everyone hates dealing with. You're in the middle of that. You've outsourced everything you can, and you're still dealing with all this stuff. How do we get, I can't think of another way to say it. How do we get grittier? How do we just tough it out? And like, what are some things we can do to build up our like mental muscle and just push through it? I know some things I do that help me, but what about you?
What's that Jocko Willink book? That's Extreme Ownership.
Oh, yeah.
Right? One of the main takeaways I got from him was just like, wake up earlier, dude. and maybe you already wake up super early, but I did not, and I still probably do not. As much as I wish I did, but I know when I wake up earlier, if I wake up even at like 6 o'clock or even like 6:30 and get to work a little bit earlier, maybe I take the dog out a little bit earlier, so I'm just getting to work a little bit earlier. That extra hour maybe or 2 hours is huge. It allows you to get more done.
You know what they call that? Margin for error.
Yep.
Create margins.
Yep.
I think is a huge thing. Is like, you're not going to get better working less. And if you want to be everything you can be, and so the thing I was going to say is if you're in the middle of it, the way to keep going is to remember where you're going. Think about your destination of what you want. And like, that's for me is a big deal. It's like when I'm tired, I got to keep in mind that I'm also hungry. It's like, no, I want this. I want this thing. I want to grow my business to 6 figures. I want to grow my business, 7 figures. I want to grow my business to 7 figures. And I want this client to be psyched. I want to be proud of my work. I want to get all the things that I want out of my business. Keep your eye on the prize.
Yep.
In the middle of that season, it can be it's very easy to get short-sighted, which is to look at the week that you have ahead of you and think about how stressed you are and forget about really the accomplishment of being an entrepreneur and the accomplishment of making people happy. And then, of course, like hopefully you're doing awesome and your business is growing. If you're a person who owns their own business that pays their bills for them, you're in an elite group. Like you keep your eye on that prize. To me, that's emotional purely. It's psychological purely. But I think you can get a lot of grit and courage from reminding yourself what you're really after and kind of pushing through. And
Totally.
I think that's a big thing.
I think a part of that too is finding other people that inspire you to become a better business partner. To become bitter and salty New England people.
No, to become better.
To become better, like Gary V. Like every time I listen to that guy, I'm like, what the heck am I doing with my life? I need to like wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and and just always have tons of energy and get out there and do it. And just finding people that inspire you, like listening to books. I find like if I'm doing things Even when I'm editing, if I'm listening to an audiobook, that makes me feel calm because I'm like, okay, I'm not just focusing on this one work thing. I'm able to kind of multitask, and I'm listening to this other audiobook, making myself better as a person while I'm going through this stressful time, or podcasts or whatever. I'm able to kind of do two things at the same time. And I find it just like calms me down because I'm able to accomplish both things at the same time. But I think no matter what, finding other outlets besides just work.
That's really what it is like one of the boundaries you have to keep. And I should have said this before. You have to keep personal growth sacred.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There can't be a season in your life where you give up personal growth to get financial growth. Mm-hmm. That is how you get into real personal trouble. It's
totally.
How you screw up your family. It's how you become a messed up person with all kinds of what is that? What good does it help a person to gain the world and lose their soul?
Yeah.
Right. And so whether or not you're religious or you're just into physical fitness or you like to just read about science journals, mm-hmm. whatever it is, the thing that you're like, I'm growing as a person. I'm becoming a better person. Like personal growth is not optional. Mm-hmm. And if you keep personal growth and say, this is sacred. Every morning I meditate for an hour or I go do yoga, or I think having things in your life that are they're not even about your family. They're not even about your job. They're literally about you becoming better. Mm-hmm. And they're not selfish because when you become better, you're better to your family, you're better at work, and I think that is important is keeping a sacred part of your life that's like personal growth. And it's like, I have a boundary here.
Yep.
No, I'm going to always take care of personal growth because that's important.
I would even say that your business probably won't grow unless you're growing as a person. And I would probably say you won't become more happy unless you're growing as a person.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean like personal growth is actually work. Mm-hmm. So this is not me saying like
it's accomplishment.
It's not watching TV for a day. It's not even necessarily going on vacation. Mm-hmm. It's doing something that invests in yourself. And I think a lot of people struggle with this because they think that sitting on the couch and relaxing after a post-wedding day hangover is personal growth. Mm-hmm. That is not personal growth.
Yeah.
That's not what you need. You might need that because mm-hmm. you're beat up, but yourself, your soul, your heart, you need to grow as a person. Mm-hmm. That's how you're really going to be able to get better.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I see is people feel stuck.
So what are some areas that you are personally growing in?
For me, it's always about gratitude.
Oh, that's cool.
Like how do I become more thankful? And mm-hmm. I think maybe that's even a mid-season tip.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, what a great thing it is that this person chose to work with me. I always think about that. I say it on the phone to all my couples. I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for, look at these lights right here, all these lenses, all this camera equipment for you, for the people I get to work with. Like, I think gratitude is something I want to get better at though, because especially expressing gratitude, probably telling people I'm grateful.
That's true.
It'll help me be happier. Mm-hmm. I know it'll help me be happier, and it will help me be more effective as a leader. It'll help me be better at sales. It'll help me so maybe that's selfish of me, but I'm getting better. I want to get better at that because it's the type of person I want to be, and it's the type of energy I want to kick into the world.
Yep.
And that's, I know for me, that's something I'm trying to improve on.
It's helped me enjoy that specifically. It's helped me enjoy weddings more too. It's just being like, I love weddings. I really, and I think my love of weddings has grown over the years.
Yeah.
Like some people are like, weddings not.
Can't wait to get out of this.
Yeah, get out. But for me, I enjoy going to wedding. Every wedding I go to now, I'm like, and then this is gonna happen, and it's gonna be so great. We can take photos out by the green. Yes, I can't wait to get these images. Because it's become less stressful to me over the years because it's just like I got this, and I think some of it is confidence, and so the more confident you get, the less you have to stress, the more happy.
I also feel like how quickly it could go away.
Totally, yeah.
Totally. The more you're in this industry, the more you've seen people come and go, and people whose businesses who are good, mm-hmm. who made little mistakes and or fluky things. Who knows? But they're not in it anymore. And
they don't wear a fedora hat that's cool anymore.
No,
so they stopped
wearing the right hat, and then no one booked them. But I'm so grateful that we get to do this and our business is doing well, because I know it could just go away. Like any random season, our couples could all just, well, who knows?
Yeah.
We could just get no phone calls. And so I think that's just huge for me. What about you? What's something you what you're personally working on to grow mid-season?
It's kind of dorky, but it's like a mental vacation for me. Is we just became homeowners, so like learning to do like put in doors and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it requires all your focus, but it's mental vacation where it's just like, you know what? I just have to unscrew all these screws and then put drywall in and screw it in. And
You need to do it.
Yeah, you need to do it, and it saves you money. But at the same time, I feel like I'm becoming a better person.
And I'm not doing weddings.
I'm getting that weird dad knowledge right now that, one day my kids will be like, how do you know all this stuff? And it's just,
I learned a skill.
Put my time in, yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I think that's really cool. It's like just having a hobby.
Yeah.
You
And,
know?
I'm not doing the things that I did last year. Like last year, I feel like I was really into playing video games, and that was like my vacation. This year is like, well, life changes. Like I have actual things to do, but I enjoy it. You know?
Yep. Yeah.
And I feel like the more skills you gain, the more things in life you just enjoy and can appreciate, and just I don't know, the more happy you become over. And I feel like I have more things to do nowadays than ever, right?
Yep.
Don't you feel that way? Like
I know that's a fact.
yeah, and I'm more happy than ever because you know how to mitigate and manage it.
Well, I'm more trusting of the people around me,
Sure.
and I'm more willing to cut it off because I know the world's not going to fall apart. And if you're listening to this, the biggest thing I would encourage you about is if you need to take a break, I encourage you, be realistic about how long the break is going to actually be. You got to get your work done. But there's no shame in it. Like, there are people there that are there to help you. There are plenty of, go to a Rising Tide group. Like, you get to know other wedding creatives. I mean, the whole community over competition thing, at the core of it, I think, is really just the idea that get people around you who understand what you're going through. And realize, like, you'll realize quickly, like, probably some things you're doing, you're just causing your own stress. You're making mistakes, and you can probably just tweak some stuff and improve. And then the other thing is, you might just need to grit it out and just tough it out and realize you're in a tough season, and that you look at the end goal and you're gonna and just push through the pain. And the last thing is, make sure you're taking care of yourself and you're having those boundaries where you're giving your when you're with your family and you're giving them, even if it's less time in this season, when you're with them, give them the time. When you're taking care of yourself, whether it be going to the gym or having meditation or fishing, do it. Just fish. You don't need to feel guilty about it. You don't need to feel bad about it. You need to do those things because you need to be the best version of you that you can be. And I think that stress people feel, that guilt they feel, drives them into even more unhappiness. And I think you don't need to do that to yourself.
Yeah. I think, and as you're saying that, I thought, when because it's not, I don't want to make it seem like I'm always in like a flow state of,
state of bliss
chi, or whatever, because I'm not. I feel like overall, I'm a very happy person.
Yeah, when you think about it.
I'm always happy, But I have stressful days. I'll get a call that I don't like, and I'll vent about it and be upset about it. And I have a bad tendency of taking that home and then complaining, and then I am upset about something, and I say something to my wife that I shouldn't say, and she doesn't deserve it. And so I would say, as much as you can, don't bring that stuff home. Don't bring that it's going to be better for your family if you're just, hey, this is work. And here's a boundary, and getting good at that is a skill. It takes practice, but you're gonna benefit from it.
That's a great. You have to be disciplined with this. So, I don't think you get anything in life without working. So you're not gonna get this balanced life without really working hard. And I think it's ridiculous when people think that there's gonna not have seasons of excess and hard work. You're gonna have those, but just understand, when you put up a boundary, try to keep that boundary.
Yeah.
And be honest when you're not doing it. Be honest, hey, sorry I was stressed today. I'm thinking about this thing at work. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with the people in your life, And I think you can get through it. And that's the last thing I'll say is kind of as we are closing this out if you are listening and you're feeling stressed and you're feeling like your mental health is suffering or your personal health is suffering or your relationships are suffering, be honest with the people around you, but also realize like you're gonna get through it. Like the season's gonna push through. You're gonna look at your bank account and you're gonna have a great season, and you're gonna be rewarded for going through this time of stress and like keeping your eye on that prize and realizing like the journey that life is. I think when you have perspective, it'll help a lot. Like if you think about something like, I could endure anything for a minute, right? Like most any pain. I mean, there's all kinds of, I'm getting dental. I've gotten dental work and I'm like, oh, this hurts, but I'm going to get this other pain fixed and I'm going to endure it. And like, I can endure something, but if I'm thinking like, when is this going to ever end? That's when it's like dread. It causes that terrible stress. And it's like, you can get through it. If you're listening to this and you're stressed, you can get through it. You can push through it. You got this.
Find someone to vent to. Like you said before, community over competition. Like find a person that you can vent to that is going or has been through something similar. I think is a key. Being able to vent to them.
Hopefully even a mentor, someone who's even farther along than you are, who's maybe doing really awesome, who can kind of, maybe they were you in the past. Yep. Completely. So, let's wrap this up. Yeah. Hopefully this was helpful to somebody because we're just kind of venting and also kind of hopefully some helpful tips, but it's not easy. You're not alone though. You can get through it. You can tough it out. Just make sure you have those personal growth and those work-life boundaries that you're keeping. Make sure you're grateful and great and filled with like remembering that this is going to be great in the end, and you're going to get through it. You're going to get through it. Get some people to talk to. You're going to get through this tough season. So thank you so much for checking out the Wedding Pros podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. We got a bunch of other content on our YouTube channel that's more tutorial content and then some small clips. We would love it if you check those out too. That is much more, at this point, it's much more photo video. But sometime in the future, we'd like to expand into just wedding creatives in general and helping everyone across the board and even help vendors understand other parts of the industry so they can know when they're talking to a florist or when you're talking to a wedding planner, what that overlap is, some useful tips. I think there are a lot of things like, for instance, like a photographer can learn from a florist when there's no florist around to, puff the flowers up to look good. So I think that's the direction we'd like to take the podcast or the YouTube channel eventually. But now it's a lot of photo video stuff because that's what that's what we're comfortable with. We're doing a bunch of interviews with some really cool guests coming up. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. And if there are any kind of topics that you're sitting at home, you're like, oh, I really want them to tackle that or talk to this guest, let us know because we are always trying to, come up with creative topics. And I don't know, it's hard to do with that. I mean, we tend to think about the same thing, but we always want to hear from you and what people at home are kind of asking about and where they are in their business. So feel free to reach out in the comment section or reach out on our Facebook page, Wedding Pros, and like that as well. I don't know if you mentioned that one. Yeah, we have a Facebook page and we also have a Facebook group, which we really are trying to build up. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next Wedding Pros podcast.